If you're a prop trader and you've struggled with fundamental analysis, this is a video for you. Too many traders neglect fundamentals, choosing to focus on technicals. This is a massive mistake because you're missing out on a huge bit of your trading edge, which could make you so much more successful. You don't need an academic background or an economics degree. I'm going to show you a simple gateway that can help you get into the subject. Now, this is an aspect of markets I am extremely passionate about, so we're going to do it old school. Put your phone away, and I'm going to show you some simple techniques you can start using today to learn how to read and filter the Financial Times. But first up, we'll need a copy. They didn't have any, so go try somewhere else. Now, lots of new traders will try and read the FT at some point, but most will give up pretty quickly. That's usually the point that they reject fundamentals altogether and just focus on candle charts. So this video isn't going to be about the complexities of manufacturing PMIs or the M2 money supply. You can find out all of that later on when you get into the subject. This is about how to start working with the wall of information that you're confronted with as a trader every day. Got one! Now, one of the things that you can't fail to notice with the Financial Times is the colour. Most people think that it's pink, but actually, technically, it's known as salmon. Now, there's a historic reason why this was done. When the paper was first published, there was a lot of competition on the newsstands, so they thought this was a way of making it stand out. But also, they saved money on the bleaching of the paper as well. So, like most things in finance, it wasn't only just competitive, they were also very thrifty as well. First thing that I would do with the paper is I would always look at it on the floor. Broadsheets are really big papers, so having some space that you can see absolutely everything in one go is always really handy rather than sort of rustling it around in your hands. Right, so open the paper out and go through it from start to finish, and you'll get an overview of everything, and note down all of the key articles that you think are going to be of interest. Now, the way the Financial Times functions is you get all your big politics, your big geopolitical stuff tends to be in the front sections, and then you get your more analytical stuff to do with specific markets in the companies and markets section. Then you'll get a load of data, and then right at the very end you'll find all of the editorial stuff, opinions, reviews, that kind of thing. So obviously this is important on the front page. Faltering confidence hinders global recovery despite buoyant economies. That's an article about sentiment and confidence in the IMF and the World Bank annual conference. That's going to be one of the things that I'm going to want to read. And just write them down, the ones that you want. There's an article down here about the ECB. They cut interest rates last week. This is going to be important here about the Japanese yen and the US interest rate expectations. A lot of currency traders, so that's going to be important. This one as well, Nikon aims to diversify amid US-China tensions. That's about semiconductors. Markets are very sensitive to semiconductor stories, so I'm going to want to read that one. And that's the process. And one of the reasons for actually working like this is very different when you're filtering the news like that in a paper than it is when you're just scrolling through the equivalent on your phone. You can't see things as clearly on the phone. Everything tends to sort of merge into one. When you put the paper down and you go through it manually, particularly if you've never done it before, the information that's important to you tends to stand out a lot clearer. So you can start to move very, very quickly, because what you need to do as a trader is develop a very efficient filter so that you can get the key information to you as fast as possible. That is definitely, when you're starting out, it's easier to do it in the paper than it is just doing it on the phone. Once you get good at it, this is all fine because you know what you're looking for. But at first, you'll see very quickly how things start to stand out. Okay, so basically just ended up with a list, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 key articles. So from a full day's news, I've filtered it down very, very quickly and efficiently just to 6 key things that I'm going to want to read. And if you've struggled with fundamentals before, then that's a very easy way of starting to process the data. So rather than being overwhelmed by all of the information, I don't need most of that. There's just 6 key things in there that I need. Next, you now need to be able to absorb those key articles as fast as possible. Remember with newspapers that the stuff on the margins is always less important than the stuff in the middle. That's how they work. But I see so many people struggle with reading newspapers. What I do is literally pull it apart and fold it up. Fold up the article that I want to read. So I then just isolate that specific article. And the way that I then compartmentalize that in my mind is saying, okay, well, there's only 3 columns there made up of maybe sort of, 7 or 8 paragraphs. And that is a very, very fast way. If I just concentrate on this, I've not got any distractions from anywhere else. That's a unique feature of still working with a newspaper that you don't get with a phone, because the phone is obviously pinging all the time, giving you notifications. And what you need to do as a trader is process this information as fast and efficiently as possible. When I started to really grapple with fundamentals, this is the technique that I would use to just make sure I was mentally focused on that article for a short period of time so I could absorb it in one go without any distractions. So this headline article here is basically talking about how low sentiment is at the moment in comparison to some countries performing pretty well economically. Also, an IMF and a World Bank annual meeting this week as well. So that is important information to be looking out for throughout the week, because it could be something that could move some of the markets. Also as well, it hints at the end about the UK budget as well next week as well. So that is important too, because that's going to be shifting the pound. So just by processing that information in isolation very quickly, I've got a good heads up on what is going on. Also, a good analogy for working like this is it's very similar to what it's like when you're trying to get fit. People that go to a gym to try and get fit, they've got a huge amount of work to do. Someone who's already fit, when they go to the gym, the workout is a lot easier. It's really easy for them to keep on top of all of that work that they've already done. Same with this. You'll find that narratives and themes, they tend to stay the same and then morph. And once you're across it, it's really quick to absorb the information, and you're just keeping your trader filter topped up at all times. So all of that effort is about making a deliberate, conscious attempt to focus your attention in a world where we're all overwhelmed with information and everyone's attention span is no longer than a swipe on your phone. If you can work like this as you start to learn to trade your prop account, you'll definitely start to embed some good habits and processes. Now, this is not about removing the convenience that your phone offers. It's more about breaking down some of the mental barriers which are there, that you can feel are there as you start to learn how to trade with fundamentals. Ultimately, that's going to speed up your journey and get you where you want to go much faster. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.